In convicted felon Donald Trump's America, U.S. citizens are being terrorized. He is taking immigrants off the street without due process and sending them to concentration prison camps in El Salvador. And he has made it very clear he intends to do the same for U.S. citizens. Well, it's already happening in the state of Oklahoma.
Of Thursday, April 24th, about 20 armed federal agents broke into a home occupied by a family of U.S. citizens in Oklahoma City who had just moved there 2 weeks prior from Maryland. ICE agents mistaking the current occupants for the former broke down the door, terrorized the family, and they repeatedly said, "We are citizens. You have the wrong people. We are citizens." It happened in the middle of the night. 3 children at gunpoint were forced outside. This was all a colossal mistake. The names on the warrant did not match the people who lived in the house. This is what we have created here. This is Trump's America. This is what my colleagues are trying to fund with this bill. Armed federal agents breaking into homes, even of U.S. citizens, traumatizing them, taking their possessions. This is Trump's America.
It's important for me to note for you that this Congresswoman Ballant, she is from Vermont, because you will not hear any congressional leadership from the state of Oklahoma decrying the behavior of ICE and the Trump administration, because they are all MAGA through and through. And we find out these poor people still do not have their property back. Recent reports confirm that federal immigration agencies, including ICE, mistakenly raided the home of an American citizen in Oklahoma City, traumatizing the family, damaging their property, and confiscating their cash and belongings. They're going to break into the wrong house one day and lives will be lost. This is incompetence coming from the Trump administration. ICE invades the wrong house, steals the savings, and then leaves. These people still do not have their money back. The repairs, I'm sure ICE is saying, screw you. And I cannot stress this enough. Congressional leaders in Oklahoma are not fighting for these people, because it is MAGA through and through. And to give you a glimpse of how bad MAGA is, and if you look at states like Oklahoma and you look all across the Bible Belt, you see MAGA supermajorities. And what you see there is poverty, crime, economic welfare off of blue states, and all they do is talk about the dangers of blue cities. We have it's a terrible place for women to live. It's people have no health care. It's unbelievable that anybody that lives in Oklahoma would vote for a Republican, because we've had Republican supermajorities for so long. But that brings me to people vote against their own interests. And that is something we have got to rectify in this country. And look no further than Oklahoma State's Superintendent of Schools, Ryan Walters. This is a man that was, pick me, I want to be the Secretary of Education. So he insists that Oklahoma classrooms have state-funded Bibles in classrooms, but not just any Bible, the Trump Bible. So, of course, Trump's like, thanks for the sale, but I'm going to pick somebody that has nothing to do with anything that's a WWE person, Linda McMahon, and I'm going to shut the whole department back. Ryan Walters is a nut. Oklahoma education system is in the toilet, but I will let Ryan Walters' crazy ass shit speak for itself.
There's no separation of church and state in the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
What there is...
Ryan, it's called the law. Maybe you should figure that out, since you're in charge of the education of the students of Oklahoma, which is a dumpster fire in terms of public education. Okay, go ahead.
There is an establishment clause and there's a free exercise clause. So what you've seen the left do over the years is lie to our citizens and allow them to believe that the establishment clause means if you're involved in government or in school or anything, you can't talk about your religious beliefs or your lack thereof. Well, that's simply untrue. That's ahistorical and it's unconstitutional. The reality is, for over 100 years in our country, you had presidents openly talked about religion. Teachers openly talked about religion. Individuals' individual rights were protected. But what you see here is we had a charter school that came through. We accepted its application because they met every single criteria. Then the Oklahoma Attorney General and the Oklahoma Supreme Court said, but hold on, they're Catholic. So now they can't have the charter school. That is the antithesis of what.
That's the law. Ryan, that is the law. There is a separation of church and state. No, the state cannot post the 10 Commandments in schools, but Ryan Walters does. He's running around with Trump Bibles. This man is a nut. He has no business being in charge of anything. And if you wonder why do MAGA supermajorities fail? Why are red states constantly sucking off the funds paid into the federal government by blue states? Look no further than this chart. There were 2 states in 2020-24 that voted unanimously. Oklahoma, all red all the time. 44th in education, 49th in healthcare, 44th in quality of life, 50th in test scores, top 10 worst poverty. That doesn't even get into the fact that we have a full-blown abortion ban, that gun violence is higher in Oklahoma. Then you look at Massachusetts, these evil, woke, blue cities. First in education, second in healthcare, first in quality of life, first in test scores, top 10 least poverty. So MAGA, this is what you want. This is how they want the entire United States to look, like Oklahoma. It's unbelievable to me in that 2025, you have the state superintendent running on and on about how there is no separation of church and state. And it gets even worse because now he's added into the curriculum for students to learn Trump election lies. I could not believe my eyes. New Oklahoma curriculum includes pro-Trump conspiracy theories. And let me just read to you what it says. Identify discrepancies in the 2020 election results by looking at graphs and other information, including the sudden halting of ballot counting in select cities in key battleground states, the security risks of mail-in balloting, sudden batch dumps, an unforeseen record number of voters, and the unprecedented contradiction of bellwether county trends. They are going to try to educate people in this state that Trump won the 2020 election because we have a nut in charge of public education. We have ICE agents raiding American citizens. That's what MAGA looks like, because in Oklahoma, supermajority Republicans the whole way, MAGA through and through. And this is so concerning because we hear Stephen Miller this week talking about how the federal government is going to control education.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves.
Okay, stop. Hold on. Nobody's teaching Americans to hate themselves or their country. You do you do the Pledge of Allegiance and all this. What this means is they don't want you studying communism. What they want you to study is MAGA values, Christian nationalism. It's right there in the curriculum of Oklahoma. If you want to see where Stephen Miller's going, look no further than Oklahoma. Sorry, continue.
Country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous communist woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
Okay, first, The safety, you're worried about safety in schools? Pass gun legislation. Do that. If you want safety in school, let's talk about that. It's unbelievable. Stephen Miller sits up there with a straight face and says racial discrimination because Stephen Miller heads, before he became the assistant chief of staff to President Trump, he's running around filing lawsuits about white discrimination because he's so anti-DEI. He's suing white discrimination. This is what happens when crazy people infiltrate. Look at Oklahoma. We're teaching about the 10 Commandments, Bibles in schools. And here's the thing. These are the same people that want to educate people that, all about the Bible, yet they have no compassion. They have no Christianity. There's no separation of church and state. You've got Ryan Walters sitting there saying, oh, there's no separation of church and state. We're such a religious state. We want public funds to pay for private school Christian education. That's what he's fighting about. Here's the deal. This is the Christian that they are. It's said so beautifully by Jasmine Crockett.
Recently they are offering $5,000. I don't know where they're going to get this $5,000 from to give everybody to have a baby, but that's the new thing that's being offered because they want more people. What we can't do is keep saying things like, oh, we're pro-life, we're pro-life, we're pro-life. But then once the life is here, when it comes to making sure that we can literally just be good Christians, if we want to go there with it, we are not. It's more than just saying that we believe in God. It's more than saying that we study the word of God. It's actually about what are we doing when it comes down to the policies. And let me tell you, there is nothing godly about taking vulnerable people and taking away their health care, all in the name of billionaires having more money in their pockets. I will yield.
This is what happens when you have MAGA supermajority. The poor get poor. Look, Oklahoma is in the lowest of the 10 highest rates of poverty, top 10 in the country. They hate poor people. They don't want to give child care. They don't want to give paid family medical leave after babies. They don't want to give health insurance. All they want to do is suck up the money for corporations and billionaires. So MAGA, if you're looking at where you want America to go and what Project 2025 is doing, look at Oklahoma. And it is in the bottom in every single data point. If that's what you want, that's what Trump's offering. Stick with us for more news.